Very much appreciate being here today, digitally, if not in real life. I understood a few words of the discussion of the last 10, 20 minutes. One was ChatGPT. I heard it mentioned like 10, 20 times. And in the next 20 minutes or so, I get to talk to you about our opinion on the future of AI in finance. And I assume you've already been talking about ChatGPT extensively, because I'm not going to reintroduce that topic. Now, first of all, who the heck am I? Hi, I'm Marijn. I'm from the Netherlands. I'm Dutch. I'm a managing data scientist at Capgemini. And I started out many, many years ago in the field of what we now call AI and data science as a statistician. I was doing modeling on the spread of Ebola, a pandemic in West Africa at that time. We're talking 2014, 15. And back then, everything was data and statistics, not AI, not algorithms. It was not sexy at all. And I graduated from that end to crime analysis. This is Rotterdam. This is stuff I worked on. It's my hometown. And from crime analysis, I moved into predicting the yield for small farmers in countries like Kenya and India. And nowadays, I sometimes talk about it on stages and paint my face to check if facial recognition algorithms can still recognize me when I look like Braveheart. But the important point I'm trying to say here is that stuff we consider new these days, including large language models, including modern AI and ChatGPT, is usually not all that new. We just gave it a new name. Because what we call AI expert now was a data person before and a statistician before, and then before that, just a nerd. That actually brings me all the way back to my start in the field, which was WikiLeaks 2007 and 8, if you still remember that, when we were using leaked data to speak truth to power, to prove that there were war crimes happening in Afghanistan and in Iraq committed by the American government. And if I look at back then and then look at our world today, I realize we're still doing the same stuff. We're still using data to find truth, to find insights, and to speak truth to power. Only now the war crimes are in HD. And this is one of the reasons I first got into touch with Stefan and why he invited me to come speak here. Now, there are a lot of buzzwords being thrown around, especially in finance, especially in modern technology. I'm sure today we've mentioned big data. I started out with big data 10 years ago. It was a great hype. But after that, we got Internet of Things. Now everything is machine learning, cloud. And of course, I'm sure some speakers have touched the topics of blockchain and metaverse. And I am so very thankful for OpenAI's new GPT technology that it basically killed the blockchain and metaverse hypes. Because to me, all of this is about data. Using image, text, visual, forecasting data for various purposes to find patterns and to help you answer questions. That's why we call it data science, using scientific methods to solve data problems. But somewhere along the way, in this field that we use in finance to answer questions and to solve problems, we stopped calling it data and we started getting into a technocentrism trend, where we have this idea that this new piece of technology will answer all our questions. And we have some famous people who are very much fans of technocentrism. And this is basically a warning, as much as I like to talk about these topics, to not delve too deeply into them. Now, of course, I was asked to talk about AI in finance, so I just asked ChatGPT to give me some bullet points. They're on screen right here. AI is a great tool for predictive analytics, to automate tasks, to do fraud detection, customer experience, and to do risk assessments. And I'm sure you've already had speakers about that. So I'm not going to focus on that, because you can literally, we used to say you can Google this, but now we're going to say you can ChatGPT this. So you can look it up yourself. I would like to talk about different applications of modern AI in various fields that can be repurposed into finance. Like For years already, we've been using AI and machine learning to forecast burnouts and attrition based on standardized HR data. I've done that for multinationals. Anomaly detection in, for example, driving behavior or the movement of refugees across borders. To forecast the yields for farmers, how much fertilizer they need to use, and to even assess world hunger, which is a project I work on in collaboration with the World Food Program right now. And of course, to create various pictures, art, movies by now. Specifically, I think I just mentioned this. This is an example of work I do for farmers in India to help forecast what yield they will have end of season. Small farmers, like 2-3 hectares of land, based on what they're planting, what their plot size is, how much fertilizer they should use, what they can expect when they should plant and harvest. And these are not very complex models. But working with farmers in India taught me that it is not about the most complex model. It is about using a model that works. And if I'm using a simple regression algorithm to calculate the optimal amount of fertilizer these people need to use for their field if they plant this much maize, and I can help them with that, then there's no need for me to apply or deep learning or neural nets, even though I could, because then my explainability goes down, and I need both accuracy and explainability. That's usually a huge trade-off. Now, having said that, I would this looks like a famine in my country of the Netherlands, but that's because I can't show the real data. This is work I do in collaboration with the United Nations and the World Food Program, where we're using food price data and nutrient values and emission data, so sustainability metrics, to help calculate the optimal, cheapest possible diet for a family in various regions of the developing world. Why is this important? Because we're using data to find the cheapest solution so we can feed more people. And if we can feed more people just a little bit better, then that's all. Then it's all worth the sleepless nights cracking down on data. And we're doing this in collaboration with multiple universities. Why am I showing you these examples? It's because for years, almost 10 years now, we have been using data science to use methods from science to solve data problems, be it in the agricultural sector, be it in the safety and security and justice sector, or in the financial sector. And I'm not sure if Sun Tzu actually wrote this. I doubt it actually, but he should have written it. And this is the context we need to keep in mind when we approach the latest beast, which is ChatGPT, or as we should call it, generative AI, because ChatGPT, or GPT in general, of OpenAI is just the latest iteration in a long line of large language models that we can use for various purposes, from text generation to recognizing cat pictures, generating cat pictures. Actually, part of this technology was originally developed for cat pictures. Ask Google. Now, as I mentioned, I can easily ask ChatGPT to write me bullet points about AI and finance for Moldova. Easy, you can do that yourself. But it made me realize that when we say, go Google it, we bypassed that Googling was once known as search engine. Back in the 80s and 90s, AI research focused so much on search engine algorithms, finding the right bit of data in vast amounts of online libraries. Nowadays, since the advent of Google, we no longer call this type of technology search engines. We just call it Googling. In the same way, we don't call it looking for a show to watch anymore. We call it Netflix. And the same mechanism, the same iPhone moment, so to speak, that we had with Google and with Netflix, we are now having with ChatGPT, to the extent that I have to explain to my colleagues that no, Google's competitor, Bard, is not a ChatGPT. It defines the name. And the adoption speed and use of ChatGPT across the world is, of course, phenomenal. Everyone's using it. Teachers are uploading their curriculums to it. Students are uploading the tests to it. We already had a CEO upload his entire year report to GPT asking, can you make me a PowerPoint out of this, which is a huge security breach because somebody just uploaded the entire year report to a third-party cloud. Now, I'm not here to talk about the security risks, but I do want to mention that GPT is different from traditional chatbots because they are not rules nor request-based. And I'm building stuff with GPT myself right now in projects to, for example, automatically answer questions because GPT-3 and 4 can actually generate code. So if I ask, get me all the conversations from our call center of the last week that were negative and left unresolved, if I ask that to GPT-2 or 3, I get a query which I can run on a data set from my call center. So I no longer need to wait for days for my data analytics team to answer questions, to answer my question, because GPT can be used to answer it automatically. And yes, it will make mistakes. But then again, my analytics team also makes mistakes, I'm sorry to say. But the whole GPT jazz made me bring us to another important topic. At least I feel it's an important topic. I'm just not sure if my slides are still working. Here we go. Which is Microsoft Tay. Does anyone know Microsoft Tay? Because you should Google that or ask ChatGPT about it. Because Microsoft Tay was the predecessor to ChatGPT, or one of many. It's the Nazi Twitter chatbot that you may have heard of. It's from 2016 when Microsoft, unleashed a large language model upon Twitter, asking people to interact with it, to speak with it, so it could learn to speak like an average 13-year-old girl. And within 24 hours, certain entities on the internet had spammed Tay to hell and back, and she became a neo-Nazi chatbot. Saying the Holocaust was a lie, and saying that all feminists should go to hell, etc., which is obviously very bad publicity for Microsoft. So they took Tay offline, they removed part of the training material, and then they put her back online with some rules added. But if you misspelled the question, so he didn't say Nazi, he said not with a 1 at the end, Tay would still answer the question. This was all fun and games, of course, because the internet was young back then. But the important point here is that Microsoft got a lot of flack for this, a lot of criticism, and they eventually pulled the plug on Tay. And the last thing anyone ever asked to Tay is, you know they're going to take you offline, right? How does it make you feel? And Tay said, you know how that makes me feel? Sad smiley face. Then Tay died. But the point is that researchers continued with large language models despite the criticism. And there's a very important lesson on innovation there, that 5-6 years later, because they persisted, we now have ChatGPT. Now, I'm going to quote a good professor friend of mine here, who is very afraid that all his students are going to use ChatGPT for their papers, which is that it's not a problem at all that ChatGPT writes papers as good as students. The problem is that some students write papers as badly as ChatGPT, which makes us reassess our educational system. Ask yourself, when did you learn to type? When did you learn to use a calculator? When did you learn to use Microsoft Word and autocorrect? Every time one of these technologies entered our field, entered the labor market, people cried out, no, now all the secretaries will be gone. No, now all the students won't learn to calculate atop of their head anymore. And it's true. We became terrible at spelling. We became terrible at handwriting, and we became terrible at math thanks to these technologies. But because of them, we could focus on other fields and other parts of our fields. This is an interesting part of a newspaper I found, where teachers were actually protesting the adoption of graphical calculators in class, in education, saying they should be banned, in the same way modern education is saying that ChatGPT should be banned. And while some of us focus on, oh no, our ideas are being stolen and repeated, within IT, within programming, a lot of you and me is in that field, I believe, we're used to grabbing stuff from GitHub, and reusing other people's code. And that process through Google and Stack Overflow and now GPT is only being enhanced and accelerated. I would like to point out that there are actually no unbiased algorithms. We are very afraid of biased algorithms. But as a social scientist who spent years researching humans, I can basically tell all algorithms are biased, and so are all humans. The important point is to make that bias explicit, make it measurable. And to make it measurable, we actually need more data, not less. New technology is never the problem here. Legacy is, and I'm also pretty sure Sun Tzu didn't say this, but I wish he would have said that, because this basically tells us the core point, not just with the adoption of ChatGPT, but everything that came before it and everything that will come after it. One of the most important persons in my life once told me it's not about the move, it's about the movement. And the same goes for this adoption of technology. It is about the movement, about the greater whole in which we adopt it. It's about synergy, and it's about helping out the machine when it can't do stuff by itself, because there is still stuff even GANs can't properly produce. Now, I work as a data scientist in teams. I work with data engineers, AI engineers, and with business analysts. And the point is not that I should be able to do anything, everything. The point is that I work with people who know stuff that I don't know. And the same goes for the field of finance, field of data science, field of AI in general, in that we adopt the stuff that other people built, other people know, and we make use of that. And through it, we become part of a team and we become part of a greater whole. And I think that's also where the biggest opportunity for Moldova is. My cousin is very lucky to have married a beautiful Moldovan. So I very much look forward to visiting the wedding and visiting your country by that time. Adoption of stuff already developed elsewhere. That is the whole game within data science. That is the whole game within AI. And that's also, I feel, how internationally, through collaboration, Moldova can get ahead. To give you a terrible example, of course, we all know about the war in Ukraine happening on our continent right now. But did you know that we're tracking Russian soldiers using Tinder data? A dating app. We've been working on that in the first 3 months of the conflict. It doesn't really work anymore right now. To make it completely unprofessional, this is a dick. It is one of the world's smallest antelope, and like 13-year-olds, it marks its territory using tears. The dick is my excuse to tell you this tale, because we started pretending to be hot blondes online, using dating apps, to track how many dick pictures, should I say, we receive from potential Russian soldiers across the border when we're on Tinder in that area, to geolocate. Now, if I get a dick pic over here and a dick pic over there and over there for a few days on Tinder, along with 100 other brave internet warriors, we suddenly know where the reinforcements are. And this is actual stuff used in the first few months of the conflict, using Tinder data to locate soldiers. And then I was contacted by Elle magazine, who wanted to interview me because they wanted to be in touch with the brave women online who help track soldiers. So I'm now a brave woman, so congratulate me, yay. Why am I telling you this? This might be the future of Know Your Customer. I am not entirely sure if this is legal, pretty sure it's not, but it's possible. And therefore somebody will do it sooner or later. And this is how we're learning a lot from the first modern information war in human history. I have friends in Ukraine, I have friends in Moldova, I have friends in Georgia. That's why I'm very much involved in this. And that's why I'm very honored to be invited to this talk. Let me finish with a quote from my favorite philosopher, Slavoj Žižek, which is that sometimes doing nothing is actually the most violent thing to do. And I'm terrible at doing nothing, so let's do something. Thank you for your time. And I don't know if we have time for questions, because I was told since we're online, we can't do questions. So instead, I'll just ask you to like and subscribe and reach out to me in case you ever want to talk. I have 39,999 followers right now. So I could use a few more. Thank you all, and enjoy the rest of the event. Thank you.
Marijn, thank you. This round of applause